Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 18th chapter, Maharaj Parikshit cursed by a Brahmin boy, text number 32 onwards. तस्य पुत्रो अतितेजस्वी विहरन् बालको अर्भके राज्ञा घं प्रापितं तातं श्रुत्वा तत्रेदम् अब्रवीत्. The sage, means the Shamik Rishi, had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahman's son. While he was playing with inexperienced boys, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king. Then and there, the boy spoke as follows. So it's clearly mentioned in Bhagavatam, although he was son of a Brahman and he was very powerful, and he himself was a Brahman. But since he was playing with inexperienced boys, means he was also inexperienced, and without inquiring, without finding out the details of what happened, he he was just playing with his friends, and he heard what Maharaj Parikshit did. He put a snake around his father's neck, and then and there he just spoke. He just made the curse. So Brahman is supposed to be very self-controlled. They're supposed to be very patient and tolerant. They're not supposed to curse like that. And this is the reason, one of the reasons, that the Brahmins, after Shringi, all the Brahmins in this Kali Yuga, they don't have that kind of power to produce curses, to say curses and that would come true. They don't have the power. Due to Maharaj Parikshit's good government, even a boy of tender age who was playing with other inexperienced boys could become as powerful as a qualified Brahman. This boy was known as Shringi, and he achieved good training in brahmacharya by his father, so that he could be as powerful as a Brahman, even at that age. But because the age of Kali was seeking an opportunity to spoil the cultural heritage of the four orders of life, the inexperienced boy gave a chance for the age of Kali to enter into the field of Vedic culture. Hatred of the lower orders of life began from this Brahman boy under the influence of Kali, and thus cultural life began to dwindle day after day. The first victim of Brahminical injustice was Maharaj Parikshit, and thus the protection given by the king against the onslaught of Kali was slackened. So Kali didn't enter when Maharaj Parikshit put the snake around Shamik Rishi's head. He entered when this boy, Brahman boy, produced a curse. He cursed Maharaj Parikshit. That's when Kali entered. Text 33. Aho adharma palanam pivram pivnam balibhujamiva swami anyagham yaddasanam dwarapanam shunamiva. The Brahman's son, Shringi, said, "Oh, just look at the sins of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their masters, contrary to the principles governing servants." So this Brahman boy, he was very proud of being a Brahman. Brahmins are supposed to be very humble. He was very proud, and he produced a curse saying, look at this king who is supposed to be like a crows and watchdog at the door of Brahmins. And he is acting contrary to the principles. The Brahmins are considered to be the head and brains of the social body, and the Kshatriyas are considered to be the arms of the social body. The arms are required to protect the body from all harm, but the arms must act according to the directions of the head and brain. That's a natural arrangement made by the supreme order, for it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that four social orders or castes, namely the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, are set up according to quality and work done by them. Naturally, the son of a Brahmin has a good chance to become a Brahmin by the direction of his qualified father, as a son of a medical practitioner has a very good chance to become a qualified medical practitioner. I mean, the chance is there, but that doesn't mean he will become. That's why Prabhupada is writing, it's very good chance because he can get good direction, good training from his qualified Brahman father. So the caste system is quite scientific. The son must take advantage of the father's qualification and thus become a Brahman or medical practitioner and not otherwise. Without being qualified, one cannot become a Brahman or medical practitioner, and that's a verdict of all scriptures and social orders. So idea is that not just like if a doctor has a son, it doesn't mean just because he's son of a doctor, he will become a doctor. Yes, he has a good chance. He can get good training from his father. From very childhood, he can be brought up looking at the profession of his father. Naturally, he can get inclination towards that, but still the exams and training has to be there. So similarly, the Brahmins. So this son, Shringi, he was son of a great sage, Shamik, and he was a Brahmin from that aspect, but he lacked experience, that's all. Here in Shringi, a qualified son of a great Brahmin attained the required Brahminical power both by birth and by training, but he was lacking in culture because he was an inexperienced boy. By the influence of Kali, the son of a Brahmin became puffed up with Brahminical power and thus wrongly compared Maharaja Parikshit to crows and watchdogs. The king is certainly the watchdog of the state in the sense that he keeps vigilant eyes over the border of the state for its protection and defense. But to address him as a watchdog is a sign of a less cultured boy. Thus, the downfall of the Brahminical powers began as they gave importance to birthright without culture. The downfall of the Brahmin caste began in the age of Kali, and since Brahmins are the heads of the social order, all other orders of society also began to deteriorate. This beginning of Brahminical deterioration was highly deplored by the father of Shringi, as we will find. So this was a problem, and this is what happened in Kali Yuga. In fact, not just this what happened. So Brahmins, so the real Vedic culture, Vedic system was, the Kshatriyas were the administrators, so they were the kings, and the Brahmins were the gurus, and the Vaishyas were the business class, and they used to take care of agriculture and cows, and the Shudras who would serve all the three other castes. But Kali Yuga, now Kali Yuga, what happened? Now Brahmins are not qualified, so they wanted to take over the power from the Kshatriyas because everybody likes power. And Kshatriyas, they did not listen to Brahmins. They went on their own. They said, we can rule without all these nonsense Brahmins, so-called Brahmins. But to rule, to run the administration, you need money. And money would come from Vaishyas or business people. So the business people said, we're not just going to give the money to all these Kshatriyas. They just put on taxes and they don't give us protection. So the money is money. So they started giving money to the rival kings, and then the kings would fight. There would be lots of bloodshed. And the Vaishyas, the business people, were very smart, and they said, whoever wins after all this fighting, we'll follow him, but he has to work according to our dictation because we are giving the money. So from monarchy, when the king, the real king, the Kshatriyas were the rulers, It came to capitalism, because this is capitalism, when all the business people control the government. And when business people are controlling the government, and because they're vaishyas, so they don't have that kind of ruling power. They're mostly in mode of passion and ignorance. So they try to exploit the weaks. So the weaks are the Shudras, obviously those are in mode of ignorance. So they exploit the weaks. They put in big factories and make everybody work in those factories for very less wages. So then obviously the Shudras, they all combined and they revolted at the revolution. So then the Shudras came into power after they killed so many. So that is communism. So this is what is going on. So somewhere it is capitalism, somewhere it's communism, somewhere it's monarchy, somewhere it's democracy. Like Prabhupada said, there is no democracy, it's called democracy. So the idea, the whole fabric that Krishna established for Varnashram system, it's all gone topsy-turvy. And ultimately, what wins is whoever has the money and the power. That's it. It doesn't matter whether one has knowledge, whether one has culture, whether one has intelligence, whether one has capability or not, it doesn't matter. If you have money, if you have power, you can rule. So this kind of culture is not what Krishna established, not what Krishna wanted. And that's why Prabhupada spoke again and again against all this. And that's why many places he said that he wanted devotees to come to the level of, with the rulers, with the prime minister or the president of countries or the high court judges. So the idea was they could rule properly, they could administer properly according to the scriptures. But to come to that position, to rule properly, first we have to even manage the temples properly. Even that is not managed properly. So how we can manage the whole country or whole state? Anyway, text 34. Brahmana kshatra bandhur hi grihipalo nirupitaha sakatam tad grihe dvastha sabhandam bhuktum arhati. The descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? Well, this boy Shringi could really speak. The inexperienced Brahmin boy certainly knew that the king asked for water from his father, and the father did not respond. He tried to explain away his father's inhospitality in an impertinent manner, befitting an uncultured boy. He was not at all sorry for the king's not being well received. On the contrary, he justified the wrong act in a way characteristic of the Brahmins of Kali Yuga. He compared the king to a watchdog, and so it was wrong for the king to enter the home of a Brahmin and ask for water from the same pot. The dog is certainly reared by his master, but it doesn't mean that the dog should claim to dine and drink from the same pot. Well, these days they do, but at some places. But this was Shringi's point. This mentality of false prestige is a cause of downfall of the perfect social order. And we can see that in the beginning it was started by the inexperienced son of a Brahmin. As a dog is never allowed to enter within the room and hearth, although it is reared by the master, similarly, according to Shringi, the king had no right to enter the house of Shamik Rishi. According to the boy's opinion, the king was on the wrong side and not his father, and thus he justified his silent father. So this was Shringi's point, that how dare king entered our home and he demanded water from my father. Text 35. Krishna gate bhagavati shastri utpatgaminam tad bhinna setu nadyaham shasmi pashyat me balam. After the departure of Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being gone. Therefore, I myself take up this matter and punish them. Just witness my power. So he was really getting very puffed up. And he is saying, Krishna is not here, Krishna is gone, so I have to, it is my responsibility to make sure that everything is administered properly. The inexperienced Brahman, puffed up by a little Brahma Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. Maharaja Parikshit gave license to Kali to live in 4 places, as mentioned herein before. But by his very expert government, the personality of Kali could hardly find the places allotted him. The personality of Kali Yuga, therefore, was seeking the opportunity to establish authority, and by the grace of the Lord, he found a hole in the puffed up, inexperienced son of a Brahman. The little Brahman wanted to show his prowess in destruction, and he had the audacity to punish such a great king as Maharaja Parikshit. He wanted to take the place of Lord Krishna after his departure. These are the principal signs of upstarts who want to take the place of Shri Krishna under the influence of the age of Kali. An upstart with a little power wants to become an incarnation of the Lord. The many false incarnations after the departure of Lord Krishna from the face of the globe. And they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the general mass of people to maintain false prestige. In other words, the personality of Kali got the opportunity to reign through this son of a Brahman, Shringi. So this boy, he was so puffed up and he was so proud that he said, "Oh, after Krishna is gone, it is my duty to reign over, to control everything." But he didn't understand. He's just a little inexperienced boy. That's why it is said, no, the power in the hand of a wrong person is very bad. It's just like giving a stick to the monkey. When the monkey gets a stick, he is not supposed to have the stick because he will misuse it. So what he does, he will just beat up everywhere, tuck, 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 tuck. He start hitting everywhere. So this is what happens when the power goes into the hands of unqualified people. They'll misuse it. They'll abuse it and misuse it. Iti uktva roshitam raksho vyasyan rishi balaka kaushikya upsprishya vag vajram visasarjaha. The son of the rishi, his eyes red hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kaushika while speaking to his playmates and discharged the following thunderbolt words. The circumstances under which Maharaj Parikshit was cursed was simply childish, as it appears from this verse. Shringi was showing his impudency amongst his playmates, who were innocent. Any sane man would have prevented him from doing such great harm to all human society. By killing a king like Maharaj Parikshit just to make a show of acquired Brahminical power, the inexperienced son of a Brahman committed a great mistake. Iti langhitam maryadam takshaka saptame arhani dangshyati sma kulagaram chodito metad druham. The Brahman son cursed the king thus: on the seventh day from today, a snake bird will bite the most wretched one of that dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit, because of his having broken the laws of etiquette by insulting my father. So Takshak was a snake bird. It means he was a snake, but he could fly and then bite somebody. Thus, the beginning of the misuse of Brahminical power began, and gradually the Brahmins in the age of Kali became devoid of both Brahminical power and culture. The Brahmin boy considered Maharaj Parikshit to be Kulangara, or the wretched of the dynasty. But factually, the Brahmin boy himself was so, because only from him did the Brahmin caste become powerless, like the snake whose poison teeth are broken. The snake is fearful as long as his poison teeth are there, otherwise, he is fearful only to children. The personality of Kali conquered the Brahmin boy first and gradually the other castes. Thus, the whole scientific system of the orders of society in this age has assumed the form of a vitiated caste system, which is now being uprooted by another class of men, similarly influenced by the age of Kali. One should see to the root cause of vitiation and not try to condemn the system as it is without knowledge of its scientific value. So the real system was set up by Krishna as Varnashram system. But the caste system, which is a perverted reflection of that system, it's a mess. Actually, it's a mess. But it all started from this Brahman boy who misused and abused his powers. Text 38. Tato abhiyetyashramam balo gale sarp kalevaram pitram vikshya dukharto mukta kanto rurodha. Thereafter, when the boy returned to the hermitage, he saw a snake on his father's shoulder, and out of his grief, he cried very loudly. The boy was not happy because he committed a great mistake, and he wanted to be relieved of the burden on his heart by crying. So, after entering the hermitage and seeing his father in that condition, he cried loudly so that he might be relieved, but it was too late. The father regretted the whole incident. So once this boy Shringi, he left his friend's place and he came back to the hermitage. So because of the influence of hermitage, because of the vibrations there, and of course he was a Brahmin after all, he came to his senses. He realized he has made a big mistake by cursing a person like Maharaj Parikshit. So he was crying. He cried so loud he wanted to be relieved of the burden on his heart. That how come I cursed Maharaj Parikshit? So by his loud crying, his father's meditation broke up and he looked at him. What happened? Sovangi raso brahman shutta sutvilatanam unmilya shanakar netre drishtva chanse mritoragam. O Brahman, the rishi who was born in the family of Angira Muni, hearing his son crying, gradually opened his eyes and saw the dead snake around his neck. Visrijya tam cha papracha vatsa kasmadhi rodishi kenva te apkritam iti ukta sanyavedayat. He threw the dead snake aside and asked his son why he was crying, whether anyone had done any harm. On hearing this, the son explained to him what happened. The father did not take the dead snake on his neck very seriously. He just took the dead snake body and just threw it away. He simply threw it away. Actually, there was nothing seriously wrong in Maharaj Parikshit's act, but the foolish son took it very seriously. And being influenced by Kali, he cursed the king and thus ended a chapter of happy history. So here in this picture, we are seeing this boy getting angry. He looks really angry, actually. And look at this father, Shamik Rishi, and the snake around his neck. Text 41. Nishamya Shaptam Tadharmam Narendram Sabrahmano Natma Jam Abhinandat Aho Batahum Mahadadyate Kritam Alpi Yasidro Ururdamo Dhritaha. The father heard from his son that the king had been cursed, although he should have never been condemned, for he was the best amongst all human beings. The rishi did not congratulate his son, but on the contrary, he began to repent, saying, Alas, what a great sinful act was performed by my son. He was awarded heavy punishment for an insignificant offense. The king is the best of all human beings. He is a representative of God. He is never to be condemned for any of his actions. In other words, the king can do no wrong. The king may order hanging of a culprit son of a Brahman, but he does not become sinful for killing a Brahman. Even if there is something wrong with the king, he is never to be condemned. A medical practitioner may kill a patient by mistaken treatment, but such a killer is never condemned to death. So what to speak of a good and pious king like Maharaja Parikshit? In the Vedic way of life, the king is trained to become a Rajarishi or a great saint, although he is ruling as a king. It's a king only by whose good government the citizens can live peacefully and without any fear. The Rajarishis would manage their kingdom so nicely and piously that their subjects would respect them as if they were the Lord. That's the instruction of the Vedas. The king is called Narendra, or the best amongst the human beings. So that was the position of king. Actually, he was considered as a representative of Lord. Since Shamik Rishi was an experienced good Brahman, he did not approve of the actions of his condemned son. He began to lament for all that his son had done. The king was beyond the jurisdiction of curses as a general rule, and what to speak of a good king like Maharaja Parikshit. The offense of the king was most insignificant, and his being condemned to death was certainly a very great sin for Shringi. Therefore, Rishi Shamik regretted the whole incident. So we'll continue from here onwards on Monday. Anybody have any questions or comments so far?
Prabhuji, tomorrow and day after tomorrow won't be any class?
No, there'll be Bhagavad Gita class, not Bhagavata. Any other question or comment? Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.